Yo guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a re-review on the headliner Martin Hinteregger. We're going to be going through the card, his details, stats, clips, summary, and all that good stuff, and looking at how this card is and how he's improved and whether I think he's actually a better card and what sort of value I think he's trending at. Before we get into all of that, if I could ask you guys to please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when I upload, and comment down below who you'd like me to review next. We have got some players that we've got on the list that are getting rid of, so add some more players to it guys, please. I will get through them. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So guys, this is the team that I use, Martin Hinteregger, and now I have previously reviewed this card at the 85 rated card, and this card is now of course 87 rated due to the 4-game boost. Guys, I think this card is really good. My first impression of this card is it's pretty decent actually. For the value that you're getting at this centre-back, I think it really is worth it, especially if you're building a cheap Bundesliga team. Of course guys, please do bear in mind that although he's sitting on 6 chem in that team there, I did have him on full chem, and then this is the team that I would sub in and out of the game so that I would have the team that I wanted lining up against people. Also guys, please do not pay too much attention to the scorelines. I was having a lot of laggy gameplay and getting screwed over a lot by that. So the defensive clips do come with crazy scorelines, but overall I think they still illustrate the point that this defender is very good and very usable as well. However, let's get into the review. Martin Hinteregger, 6 foot tall, high medium work rates, left footed, 2-star moves and 3-star weak foot, so still the same weaknesses as before. Of course, he's got those high medium work rates, high attacking work rate, although this time guys he did maintain his position very well without me having to put any instructions on him, so that was fine. The 3-star weak foot as well is a bit of a con, but overall I think if you're playing on the left side of the fence, left footed centre back on a left centre back slot, it's a very nice thing to have, so not too bothered there either. 5 games played, 2 goals scored, both off headers of course, which you guys will see in the clips. No assists of course as well, because this is mainly a defending review. I put the shadow on him guys just to give him that elite level of defending and decent pace as well to be able to compete with some of those quicker strikers. Now he does struggle still a little bit with that pace, which brings me into this part. The cons of this card, we'll just go straight into it. The acceleration was a big con. Now even with that +9 or 10 that you get from having him on full chemistry, it's still not quite enough to get him to that level where you're competing against the top strikers. However, it is usable. If you have another centre back that can cover in behind him who's a little bit quicker, then you can really use this card to your advantage. He plays phenomenally well, especially in terms of physical play. Strength is really good, aggression is really good, stamina is decent, and jumping is pretty decent, as well as heading accuracy. All his defensive stats are fantastic too, and his long pass is pretty decent as well, so playing the ball out of defense is quite nice at times as well. However guys, what I would say is that because of his high medium work rates, and this may work in your advantage, is he's often on the front foot. He always is pushing forward to try and get those tackles in. It does work to your detriment as well, in that he will sometimes push forward and get caught out of position. A number of times that did happen to me, and I found that to be a real con. Unfortunately, I could cover that with the other centre back that I have in Sol Campbell, but it's just something to bear in mind with this card. Finally guys, get into the player traits. Dives into tackles, long passer, and long shot taker. I didn't take any long shots with him guys, didn't really test that trait out. The long passer one I did test out. He is a decent long passer, plays some lovely passes. You'll see a couple of those in the clips. The dives into tackles trait, I've never been a fan of this one. I don't like players just committing crazy challenges, but overall I didn't really feel the effects of this too much. Only crazy tackles that he put in were the ones that I did, so overall I didn't feel the effect of this that much. Now that we've covered all that, we're going to get into some of the clips that I got with him. So guys, getting into some of Martin Hinteregger's clips, and what you guys are going to see here for the most part, other than those 2 headed goals at the end, is his defensive capability and his ability to play just overall in terms of the defensive play, covering runs, decent speed, and good passing as well. Now guys, a lot of the time what I would say is when I'm tackling with this card, I'm using this card on the front foot. I'm leaving the other centre back to go in behind and sweep in behind him because he hasn't got the greatest acceleration in the world. So therefore I can afford to be a bit more aggressive with this card, and as you guys can see, when you are aggressive with this card you can get a lot of good tackles in. There's a bit of a risky one, but he does come out with the ball because his tackling is so clean and crisp as well. I mean, there we commit the foul, but he does also get in the way. His defensive awareness and positioning is really good as well in terms of just where he sits. However guys, what I would say, and it's a con which I've mentioned before, is that aggression level is very high, especially with those high medium work rates. He does tend to step out of defense a lot without you controlling him to try and intercept the ball and be on the front foot, and that often is to the detriment of your defense because it leaves glaring gaps in there for those pacey strikers to just run in behind, and you know he's not catching them once they get in there. So it's a real problem in terms of that. If your other centre back is out there, you do really have to be careful with how you defend with him. However, guys, for the most part, his interception, tackling, winning the ball back, and then just bringing the ball out calmly, playing a nice pass, it was very good. You're able to be super aggressive with this card, and I did love that as well. His heading is phenomenal as well, guys, and that's something that I really appreciated too about this card, was that you're able to win a lot of headers, especially when people are playing off the goal kicks. They try to take advantage of the fact that he's a slightly smaller centre-back in the grand scheme of things, but overall he still does very well with that power and decent jumping and heading accuracy as well. You're able to win those headers and get it into your teammates and start to play with the ball a little more. Guys, overall as well, I think the strength of this card was pretty decent. I know it's not the highest, but it was good enough for me. There you guys can see a lovely ball that he plays right the way around to Stefan El Shaarawy, who just manages to keep it in. Unfortunately, nothing more came from that chance. You're going to see a couple of the headers as well that he won, guys. I mean, there you saw his fantastic jumping ability. He gets so high above the opposing defenders, and chasing back with this guy, it's not impossible, guys. What I will say is the pace doesn't affect him to the point where you can't use him at all in terms of covering runs, because there you guys can see that's Marcus Rashford, and he does keep up with him relatively well. Blocked out by my face there, but does play a decent pass out as well. It's just that you don't want to be put in a situation where you're having to chase back against someone like a Mo Salah and win the ball back. Again, they're trying to commit the man's run against Ronaldo, taking the ball off him, holding him off with that reasonable strength and getting the ball out again. Over and over again, that would have been the story. As well, even on a yellow card, you're not too fussed about taking these tackles on. He's very clean in the tackle. Despite that dives into tackle straight, I didn't notice that too much, so it was a nice positive for that as well. Now you guys are going to see the couple of headers that we got with him. How's this for a smash into the back of the net? So guys, getting into this final Martin Hinteregger summary, I'm not going to include this first price here, so 39k on the PlayStation, 38k on the Xbox, and 52 on the PC. The key stats for this card, guys, all his defending stats are fantastic. His stamina, physicality, strength, aggression are all really great as well. And his long passing is very good as well, so that's something definitely to bear in mind. His con, of course, though, is that acceleration. If you can find a way around that to cover him, or play him with a defender, or just use set constructions on him, which will be able to help him out in terms of his positioning and not get caught out so much, especially with that high aggression and high attacking work rate, to look to be on the front foot all the time, then you'll be able to use this card a little better. In terms of recommended chemistry style, guys, I still think the Shadow is probably the best one. Maybe his defending doesn't need it so much now because the pace and something else could use a little bit of boosting. Maybe the Catalyst would do him a little better so that you guys can see the pace and the passing are a little better there. His defending is still very good, as well as all his physicality. Maybe he doesn't need that defending boost anymore now that his defending has reached that level. However, I would say there's a number of ways that you need to use this card. Finding chemistry style that suits you will be the key part of this, as well as a way to play with him. In terms of similar players, guys, we've got some players here. I think this Delaney isn't a bad shout. I don't think he's very similar to a lot of these players, especially because of that high attacking work rate. I think he does tend to do things a little more crazily than all of these guys. He's very much on the front foot. David Alaba, of course, a lot more agile than this card. One thing that really does hold this Hinteregger card back is that agility. He doesn't have a lot of it, so he's very quick in terms of being on the front foot and in the tackle, but in terms of moving around and actually running, he's a bit slower. So guys, very different to a lot of these cards. Not a lot of cards that I would say are similar to this guy in terms of how he plays. He reminds me a bit of the Gabriel Paulista inform card, obviously a much better version, and Gabriel Paulista's work rates are entirely different, but the way the play style is very similar. Always on the front foot, always looking to get in there, get stuck in, and other things like that. Finally, guys, getting into the linkability now. Having just looked at Alaba, we will see him pop up again here, as well as Marcel Sabitzer, Konrad Laimer as well, able to link in all those guys to your team really nicely as well. Luka Jovic, of course, the storyline Sabitzer if you did that as well, or the Kostic or Jovic cards which are popping up too, as well as a bunch of Bundesliga players that you'll be able to link in. Finally, guys, we will get into the comparison of his price. Now, currently, guys, because of that 35k price, he's sitting lower than his inform and second inform. If we go back up to where he should fit, it will be in between Udokai and Matthias Ginter. I think he's better than both of those by a mile. If we look above him as well, Halstenberg, Hummels, Dayo Upamecano is probably where you're comparing more fairly. Dayo Upamecano, of course, only comparable because of that pace. In terms of raw defending capability, this Martin Hinteregger is leaps and bounds ahead of Dayo Upamecano. If we're talking defending capability, he's definitely up here with that Manuel Akanji. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the pace, work rates, or the dribbling to sustain that sort of level. So I think in here, around this Mats Hummels level, is where he plays too. I don't think he's down. He should be down here near the Udokai or Ginter level. I think around 70k value-wise is what you're getting out of this card, and I do think that he's worth more than what the current listed price is of 40k. You're definitely getting yourself a bargain there. So that leads on to my final recommendation, guys, which is if you can get your hands on this card for a cheap Bundesliga team that you want to link into David Alaba as well, or to build into a 3-5-2. 3-5-2, he may be fantastic, especially as that central centre-back, guys. Then this card will work absolutely great for you. I think he's a really nice card, really fun card to use, and something different to use as well. Not such a meta card, but still nonetheless a decent defender. Hope you guys did enjoy this review. If you did, please do smash that like button. Until next time, I will see you all in a bit.